Welcome back, Nerd Squad. So we've talked about Omega level, we've talked about Alpha level, and today we are finally going to talk about the next level down when it comes to mutant power classification, Beta level. This is a level that is rarely touched upon in the comics, and while some of the mutants listed here are confirmed, others are more speculated when it comes to the Beta level, though based on evidence, so you judge, but pretty sure they are beta level. But what makes a mutant beta level? Betas are typically as powerful as alphas for the most part. They can typically pass for human and are still considered extremely powerful, but they usually have one specific setback when it comes to their mutation, some kind of limitation that negatively impacts their life or holds them back from their true potential. Today we'll be examining some of these mutants who are powerful but maybe not completely unstoppable as we count down the top 10 beta level mutants. Be sure to stick around till the end of this list where I will have some bonus content coming your way. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. Joey and Galen Bailey. Joey and Galen Bailey are mutants who appeared in X-Men issue number 30. The spelling on Galen's name has changed over the years, but I decided to go with the first appearance of her name for this list. We don't know what their two powers were, but what we do know is that a Sentinel declared them Epsilon Beta class. We also know that they are kids of Jean's older sister Sarah. The two of them are mostly just very small cameo characters. Still, it's nice to acknowledge the power of the Grey line, especially since it is not often talked about since the death of almost the entire Grey family at the hands of the Shi'ar. Rest in peace, pretty much everybody in the Grey family. Everybody died. They were like, look at all these people, and they were like, pfft, dead. Number 9. Brian Reinhardt. You might start to notice a pattern when it comes to beta levels and their power sets on this list. Reinhardt is part of that pattern. Agent Brian Reinhardt appeared in the series Sentinel from the early 2000s. We find out that he is both an agent of the Commissions on Superhuman Activities, aka the CSA, and a mutant in the series. He is tracking down a Sentinel. When the two end up in a fight, he defeats the Sentinel but also appears to end up dead in the process. He can absorb energy and use it for energy blasts and shielding, though apparently this wasn't enough to protect him. It almost appears in the fight as though exhausting himself through using his powers was what led to his demise. Probably why he's beta level. Number 8. Pixie. Pixie is Mastermind's daughter. She is half fairy, half human, and all mutant. As such, her powers reflect her background. She has insectoid wings and an affinity for magic. Her wings can produce hallucinogenic dust, which makes people both hallucinate things both visually and audibly. Unlike her father though, Megan Gwyn's illusionary powers have limits. She has been shown to have seemingly no control over what her victims see, meaning that unlike her father, she is not quite as powerful or skilled when it comes to illusion creation. Yet, anyways. Number 7. Mastermind. Though, to be fair, even Jason Wingard had his own limits when it came to his powers. Mastermind is known as a powerful manipulator. He can create illusions and alter memories. However, if someone discovers that they are being manipulated by him, the illusion will no longer continue to work and will eventually dissolve. This weakness also applies to those whose memories he has managed to tamper with. Oddly enough, Mastermind has also declared that certain minds are easier for him to tamper with than others, and implied that certain minds are therefore too strong to be affected by his abilities. Or too weak? There's a continuity error with his powers in that regard. Jason has stated before that his memory altering powers both work best on those with a complex mind and those with a simple mind, implying that the opposite is more problematic. Yet he said this about both types of minds. So both opposites aren't good, but they are? Doesn't make sense. Number 6. Strong Guy. Strong Guy was first introduced in the 80s. He is one of those mutants who can absorb and repurpose kinetic energy. Are you seeing a pattern yet? This ends up making him super strong and durable and gives him superior endurance. However, his powers come with a cap. If he absorbs too much energy, it stresses his heart. Guido Carosella has already had a heart attack before as a result of overusing his powers, making his heart even weaker than it was originally. He also needs to dispel all absorbed energy from his body quickly, as the longer he holds onto it, the greater risk it poses to his health. So he's really only good for short bursts of power. So you could say with Strong Guy, with great power can come potential heart failure. Not as good as Spider-Man saying. Number 5. Surge. Surge is a relatively new mutant, first appearing in New Mutants, volume number 2 in 2004. Her mutant powers allow her to control all types of electricity. You might think that this doesn't sound that powerful. What if she's in a room with no power outlets or not in a city with power? But this extends beyond what we first think of when we think of electricity. It's not just weather and outlets that Noriko Hashida can use to power up. It's also staticky electricity, which is often all around us. The problem with Surge's electricity absorption is that she can't control it, so she wears gauntlets made by Forge to help her control the energy of both the input and the output of electricity electricity that she conducts. This lack of control goes even beyond Cyclops' use of the visor to control his concussive blasts, as without her gauntlets, Surge can't even control the energy she is absorbing and has to dispel it, making her like an uncontrollable live wild electric wire. So without her gauntlets, she's just like all over the place. Number 4. Northstar and Aurora. While these two are now more independent of one another, these two Canadian mutants from Quebec originally needed one another to be their most powerful, and for our purposes we're going to more focus on this part of their power. Although now their powers can still work without one another, still being together does increase their power levels and being apart does diminish it. Oh yeah, and they're also both half elf as well, pretty cool. They both share the power of photokinesis and can use the light they produce to do various things. Aurora, Jeanne-Marie, can use the light to shock, blast, and soothe, while Northstar, Jean-Paul, primarily uses the light to blast. Even if they don't need to hold hands anymore to make their powers even more radiant, they definitely still get a boost from being in close proximity and lose said boost when being apart. Also, both siblings have been members of Alpha Flight, for all of you Alpha Flight fans out there. Yay, I mentioned an Alpha Flight thing. We're from Canada, so it's relevant. I feel like people always want us to mention Alpha Flight because we're so Canadian, and I'm just like, we get it, they're Canadian, we're Canadian, we get it. Number 3. Colossus. While Colossus might seem super powerful, and granted he is, even his metallic form has limits. The thing about Piotr Rasputin is that he is made of steel, so he's weakened by vibranium and adamantium. Any metal more powerful than steel can be used successfully against him, making him not as strong as he looks. Even Omega Red's carbonadium tentacles have bested him in a fight. Granted, Colossus is still a tough nut to crack in battle, but if you put him up against the right enemy, they'll definitely be able to put a dent in his armored skin. Number 2. Angel. So I really don't like to pick on Angel because he is one of the original X-Men, and for what mutant powers he was given, he's pretty powerful. Like seriously, I would really love him to be an Omega level, but the reason he makes our beta list is because his only real mutant ability is flight, and his power depends on his wings. If he loses his wings, he loses his powers. While he can pass for a normal human, he also literally becomes one essentially without his wings. Now if his wings were more durable, this wouldn't be an issue, but unless we were talking about his techno wings, they can't be considered that durable, and Angel has both had them injured and lost them before, meaning there are times that he wasn't even able to fly. And that's kinda his whole thing, so still, we give him a number 2 spot because respect. And he is still pretty powerful and strong, but when all you got is wings, it's a rough life. Number 1. Wolverine. Although I personally think Wolverine deserves at least alpha status, there are many people that consider him beta level, and I'll explain why. These mutant levels are more about mutant abilities than the full character behind them. Now when it comes to Wolverine's mutant abilities, his bone claws and his healing factor, he doesn't have as much control over these as he could, which is what makes him beta. In regards to his claws, Wolverine also has an animalistic nature that comes along with his powers, which causes him to make rash decisions in dire situations and react on instinct as opposed to really thinking things through. His healing factor also often messes with his mind and his memories, helping him to forget painful ones, but also at times making him question his part in the tragic events that seem to follow and surround him all the time, and making him question his own self, who he is, and why he's done certain things will often become a mystery to him. So yeah, it's like, get rid of those painful memories, but also now I have some memory loss. Kind of not a good thing all the time. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope you enjoyed this list. Who are some of your favorite beta level mutants? Who's a new mutant that you think should be classified as beta? Would you like to see more beta level mutants, or would you like to see more omega level mutants enter the Marvel universe? Do you like limitations, or would you rather have your comic book mutants' powers more limitless? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Strongest Superhero Clones. Felipe Resende Crispy comments, I love the show. Do Image and Valiant comics please. Hugs to all the crew who made this amazing show. Aw, hugs back to you. I would personally love for us to do other videos about comics from outside of the big two, so hopefully that does end up happening more and more in the future. Fingers are crossed. Image especially has lots of good stuff, and Dynamite 2 has a lot of great stuff as well. And I just picked up some of the Bloodshot Reborn series from Valiant, so I'm gonna start reading through that. I'm very excited. Yeep! G405T says, Amanda is a clone of Black Widow and she turned out alright. Oh my goodness. I seriously wish that I was a clone of Black Widow because that would be super cool and I really want to be a spy. Although I think Black Widow actually killed all of her clones, so maybe that would not be good because Natasha might find me, she might kill me, so Shh, don't tell her. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your comments picked and responded to in a future video. And click on that like if you love all of mutantdom on your way down there. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you as always to stay nerdy, YouTube.